This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to be doing a pork roast. The smoker that we'll be using is the Masterbuilt 230 MPS, and that is a propane smoker, 30-inch, and it's the two-door model. So it has a door here for the food and a door here for the fuel. And it runs completely on propane, no electrical or anything like that. Excellent model to take camping with you, and it's nice to just kind of play with and real easy. You do want to make sure that you dial in the temperature as you go and keep a little eye on it. First, let's talk about spices. So I have my standard here, which is the 3211, and I'm going to take a bowl and I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons in here. And go just a little over 2 tablespoons. Today, our primary side spice is going to be cumin. So we're going to put in on the cumin about a tablespoon. It takes a little bit of work to get it to come through the shaker like that, but I would really rather it came through the shaker than just go straight into it. That way it's partially mixed. And pork always benefits from a little extra garlic. So I have Spice Hunter garlic granules here. I always use granules if I can get it. Sometimes you just run out and you need to use the ground. And there we go. So mixing it like this ends up with better results. I mix it up, swirl it around a little bit, and then I either use a spoon or, in this case, since I'm gloved up, I use my fingers. Well, let's take a look at the pork roast. I bought this at the local grocery store, and they have a small meat market counter there, and they have some unique things. Like, for instance, I can always get turkey parts there, which you can't normally get at most stores. But they have a nice selection of pork, like pork medallions the other day, and then this roast. So I'm looking at this roast and it looks really good. It's nice and fatty. Because this smoker is relatively new, I want to cook a lot of fatty things in to really help with the seasoning. So I have a heavy layer of fat right here, and I'm going to trim that down. So I have my Victorinox curved boning knife here, and I'm going to try to take this in 2 cuts. And for the most part, I'm trying to eliminate it completely. So I got 1 piece there. There's a little bit of meat on there, but that'll be okay. Then I'm going to flip it back over the other way, and I'm going to take it the other direction. And there's the other piece. So there's a little bit of fat still on here, and I think I'll just trim just a little bit of that, and I'll probably go ahead and discard that. And that's just that. I'm not going to even bother with that. I'll just set that to the side. So now I'll show you. So there's still fat on there, but that cap is gone for the most part. Next, what I'll do is I'll take the seasoning and I'm going to pour it out the edge of the bowl. I like to use the square bowls for that reason. And I'm going to start by doing the end. I know I wish I had the close-up camera for you going, but I hope you can see down in here. So I've done both sides there, and then I'll put a little bit on both ends. Start by going like that. So the idea is to do it over the same spot in the pan or plate that you're using, and that way you can pick up all the extra spices as you go. Once the sides and corners are done, then I'll sprinkle it a little bit heavier on the faces. Unless I'm making something like burnt ends, I don't like to get it too heavy on the sides. Just a little bit left here, so we'll go ahead and add that to the sides. And then I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of this on this fat. We'll smoke up the fat, and when it renders down to a reasonable point, we'll probably just throw it on the grill for a minute to crisp it up. Now, I turned on the smoker and preheated it at the beginning before I started the video. We're just under 200 right now. Today, we're going to use the grill mats. I have a small one here. It's cut to fit in the little chief, but it also works really good in here. It's just a little under the size. If this was the only smoker I had, I would cut all these to fit this smoker exactly, but it fits pretty nicely right in there. We're going to take this and we're going to lay it right down this middle just like that, leaving enough room for each one of these pieces of fat on the side. I want to point out something. There is a piece of tinfoil down here, and that piece of tinfoil is going to catch most of the fat. So it's made into a little tinfoil tray, and when I'm done, if it's full, I can throw it away. Today, this is a reuse tray because yesterday didn't fill it up completely. The previous day's cook did, so we didn't want to put it back in there and have all that oil melt and possibly spill. Now we'll go ahead and close this. Because we're going for a long cook, we want to be a little bit under on temperature and not over with this one. I don't need these anymore. I don't want to overpower my meat, so today we're going to use alder chunks. On yesterday's cook, I took and I put some pecan chunks on the bottom. It didn't perform exactly the way I wanted it to. Well, let's see if I can find a pecan chunk to put on the top this time. This one looks pretty decent. Swirl it in there just a little bit. Because this pan is not made for this smoker, it is pushing on the side and the handle got hot and cracked. I went ahead and broke that off and threw it away. If you're worried about the heat and burning yourself, use an oven glove like this. This one is a Weber oven glove, and I was able to pick these up on sale, and I'll tell you what, these are awesome. My favorite thing is that they fit you so good. It's not like a regular oven glove like you'd use in the house where it's kind of loose and floppy. Those are a little bit thicker than this, but the weave here is really nice. And what I really like is it rides up on your wrist here. And this is always where I burn myself, right here. I never have any other problems. The smoker itself is just barely under 200 degrees, so you can pretty much handle any part of it without having to worry about getting burned at all. But it will be hot for a lot of people. For me, not so much. I'm going to take a look here, and I'm going to add just a little bit to it. Now I'm going to keep an eye on the smoker for about 15 minutes. What I'm looking for is a temperature just under 225. I do not want to be over 225 for a cook that I plan on running this long. So our goal is to run the cook for 8 hours. At 8 hours, we should be able to have gotten 6 hours of good solid cook on there and then a couple of hours of wrap, and it should be nice and soft at a higher temperature and ready for dinner. This is a small roast. We're not looking at, 12 hours or anything like that. But we do want to get the internal temperature up to about 200. That way we can break that down real nice and soft. We'll come back in about 2 or 3 hours here to check on this and let you know how it's going. For you, that'll be 1 second. For me, I'm going to have to go get a book and a coffee or something. See you then. I checked the temperature about 30 minutes ago and we were at 155, maybe just a little over that, and we're looking to get into the 160 to 165 range so we can wrap it and move to the next step. I went ahead and turned the fuel up just a little bit so we could bring the smoker up to a 250 degree temperature. So pull this out a little bit and hopefully you can see that. I'll get a picture in the next section, but for right now, this is kind of what we got. Let's hold that out there. I'm going to go ahead and set that right here. And she is a little bit warm. So we got an internal temperature of about 157. It's a little lower than what I want, but that's okay. Let's close this lid real quick. Keep a little bit of that heat in there. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap it real quick. Like usual, I'll just take it and pull it up like that and fold it over. I'm not adding any juice to this. There's plenty of fat in there. So I'm just going to assume that that fat is going to continue to render and will give us all the flavor and juice that we really want. I try not to wrap it overly tight. I just want it tight enough to seal everything in. A little bit of a push there. And then I'm going to put the fold side down because this side is completely sealed there. And then set it on the tray. Don't drag it around because the foil will break easily. I'm going to raise the temperature just a little bit more. Then I'll come back in 15 minutes and check it again to see if it's where I want. I want to get it up into the 275 range so that way it'll start pushing a little bit faster. We still have quite a bit of time before dinner time, but I want to make sure that I get it into where I want it. I like my meat a little bit firmer. Now, if I were to take this and cut this and eat it, it would be perfectly safe right now, but it's going to be completely firm, more like a steak than something that you could pull a little bit. And I want it much softer than that. We will come back. For you, it'll be a couple of seconds. For me, it'll be about 3 more hours. We have returned, and it is slightly more than 3 hours, pretty close to about 3.5. and we are ready to take a look here. I have checked the temperature, so I know where we're at. We're just going to go ahead and pull it out. I raised it up to 300, so it's pretty hot. I also threw some macaroni and cheese in there. So I just make a box of macaroni and cheese and par cook it. Then when you mix up your macaroni and cheese per your instructions on whatever package you have, if you cooked it macaroni half as long as normal, just add yourself a half a cup of milk extra, and the macaroni will absorb that as it finishes cooking, and it'll be really nice and yummy, full of smoky flavor. This is pretty hot, but we're going to go ahead and unroll it. I put it inside the cookie sheet and with the cutting board in there. So I had to go to a small cutting board that would fit inside. I'm going to pull this up there so you can get a good look at it. Let's see if we can do this, and maybe you can see it a little bit better. Now, if you wanted it crispy, you could throw it right on top of the grill and just grill it off, or you could even leave it in the smoker for longer. Instant read thermometer. Right through the thickest spot. 205. Now, this should be resting for about 30 minutes, and I will go ahead and rest it, but for now, we're just going to cut into it so that way you can get an idea. Cut off the corner there. It's almost like so soft, I can almost just push it through rather than cut it. First, I'll give you a little look here. I hate to do this because I feel like I'm going to drop it. So then I'm going to pull it back just a little bit. I'm going to take one more cut, and then I'm going to take a little picture. Turn that just a little bit. All right, go ahead and take a look at that picture right here, and you'll see that there's a nice little red smoke ring around the corner. Just perfect. Let's see if we can taste that cumin. Just right. It wouldn't hurt it if it had a little bit more cumin and a little bit more garlic in it, but I can taste it, and that's all that really matters. I don't want to overpower it, and it's not overly smoky. A little fatty in that bite, but that's what these pork roasts are like. So the primary reason that I cook the pork roast is because I want to add as much smoky fat flavors to the smoker as possible in the beginning. Now, after the next couple of cooks, we'll start to transfer to stuff that's more common. We're going to be doing flattened hamburger jerky and maybe some chuck roast, because that's my new favorite. Thanks for watching. If you see anything you like there, like the grill mats, which is my favorite accessory, you'll find an affiliate link below. If you use that link, I will get compensated, so I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and these videos are really about the gear. The cooking, you know, we can do that, you can do that, and cooking is all up to you and what you like. But the fact of knowing whether you can rely on the gear or not is really important. And something I want to mention before I go is that I added a cast iron pan to this, and I'm going to pop it open and see if you can see it or not. How about... So take a look here. That is a 10-inch cast iron pan that I bought from the local store, but I'll put a link down below for the exact same pan, so that way if you want to get one of those to go with this, you'll be able to do that. I'm going to close that up. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.